The Subway Stalker. It was late, and the subway platform was almost deserted. After a long day at work, all Sarah wanted was to get home, kick off her shoes, and relax. The train arrived with a whoosh, its doors sliding open with a metallic screech. She stepped into the nearly empty car, choosing a seat near the door. The lights flickered slightly as the train rumbled to life, slipping into the dark tunnels beneath the city. As she settled in, Sarah glanced around. There were only a handful of other passengers, an old man dozing with a newspaper on his lap, a couple of teenagers with earbuds jammed into their ears, and a man sitting far at the end of the car. His presence didn't register at first, just another anonymous face in the crowd. But something about him made her look again. He was staring directly at her. His gaze was unnervingly intense. He didn't blink, didn't fidget, just stared. Sarah shifted uncomfortably in her seat, trying to convince herself it was nothing. People did strange things on the subway all the time. It's New York, after all. The train rumbled on, stopping at the next station. More people got off, leaving the car even emptier. Sarah thought about switching cars, but that would be admitting she was spooked. She wasn't about to let some random weirdo intimidate her. But his eyes never left her. She looked out the window, trying to distract herself. The train roared through the tunnels, lights flashing in the darkness. She could feel his gaze on her, burning into her skin. She shifted again, more uneasy this time. The next stop approached, and she decided to move. As soon as the doors slid open, she darted into the next car. Relief washed over her. This car was more crowded, with more faces and chatter to drown out the lingering sense of dread. She found a seat and tried to shake off the encounter. Just another creepy New York moment, she told herself. But then she saw him again, sitting at the far end of this car, his eyes still locked on her. Sarah's heart began to race. How had he moved so quickly? She hadn't seen him follow, she hadn't heard him. Yet there he was, sitting, staring, completely motionless. Her pulse quickened as panic started to creep in. Stop after stop passed, and no matter where she moved, which car she switched to, the man was always there, always watching. Finally, Sarah's stop came up. She bolted from her seat and hurried toward the door. The train screeched to a halt, and she stepped out onto the platform, her breath shallow. As she walked quickly toward the exit, she couldn't shake the feeling that someone was close behind. She heard it, a faint breath on the back of her neck, cold and unmistakable. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest as she whipped around, expecting to see him there, standing just inches from her. But the platform was empty. Not a soul in sight. The subway train's doors closed behind her, and the train sped off into the tunnel, leaving her standing alone in the stillness of the underground station. But even then, she couldn't shake the sensation that he was still watching her, lurking somewhere in the shadows, waiting. The apartment above. After weeks of searching for the perfect place, Jason finally found it, a charming pre-war apartment in Manhattan with just the right blend of history and character. The high ceilings, original hardwood floors, and ornate moldings made it feel like a step back in time. He moved in with excitement, eager to settle into his new home. For the first few nights, everything was quiet. The city's hustle and bustle outside was a distant hum, and inside, the apartment was his peaceful retreat. But soon, Jason began to notice something unsettling. It started subtly, occasional creaks that he dismissed as the building settling, but then the noises grew more frequent and disruptive. It began with soft thuds, like someone pacing back and forth. He could hear footsteps above his head, echoing through the apartment. The sounds grew louder each night, scraping noises as if furniture was being dragged across the floor, followed by what sounded like muffled conversations or shuffling. The disturbances were so persistent that they made sleep difficult, and Jason's initial excitement began to wane. Determined to find out what was causing the noise, Jason went up to the apartment above. He knocked on the door, but there was no answer. The door was locked, and the hallways were eerily quiet. Frustrated, he asked his landlord about it. The landlord, an elderly man with a weary face, looked visibly shaken when Jason mentioned the disturbances. "No one lives up there," he said, his voice low and trembling. "That apartment's been vacant for years." Jason was taken aback. "But the noises—" The landlord interrupted, his eyes darkening. "The previous resident, she vanished without a trace, left everything behind. No one knows what happened to her." Jason's heart skipped a beat. He had heard the stories of old buildings with haunted histories, but he had never believed them. Yet, the landlord's pale face and the gravity of his words left him unsettled. That night, the noises returned, louder than ever. Jason lay in bed, unable to escape the persistent thumping and dragging sounds from the empty apartment above. He tried to convince himself it was just the building settling, but the rhythmic patterns of the footsteps were too deliberate to ignore. When he could no longer bear it, he decided to investigate again. Armed with a flashlight and a sense of foreboding, Jason returned to the door of the vacant apartment. He tried the handle, but it was locked tight. He shone his flashlight through the keyhole, but all he could see was darkness. Suddenly the noises stopped. An oppressive silence enveloped him. Jason's breathing quickened, and he felt an icy chill crawl up his spine. The silence was so complete, it was as if the air itself was holding its breath. Just as he was about to turn away, the sound of a door creaking open reached his ears. The noise came from within the apartment. Jason's heart raced as he shone the flashlight through the keyhole again. This time he saw a faint, shadowy figure moving across the floor just beyond the beam of light. Without thinking, he ran back to his own apartment, locking the door behind him. The noises continued that night, but he refused to go near the apartment above again. Jason tried to ignore it, but the unsettling feeling never left him. The mysterious sounds, the vanishing tenant, and the eerie silence that followed were a constant reminder of the apartment's dark history. Each night, as he lay in bed, he couldn't shake the feeling that something, or someone, was still up there, waiting. It was a crisp, late autumn evening when Emma and Jake decided to take a walk through Central Park. The city's hustle and bustle seemed far away, and the park's winding paths were cloaked in a thick, eerie fog that gave the night an otherworldly feel. Despite the fog, the park had a certain allure. The chill in the air and the whispering leaves created a sense of peaceful isolation. As they strolled hand in hand, the park's familiar landmarks seemed shrouded in mystery. The flickering of street lamps cast long, wavering shadows on the ground. They passed under one of the old iron street lamps, and as they did, it flickered and then went out, plunging the path into darkness. Emma and Jake exchanged uneasy glances. The next lamp ahead did the same thing, and then the one after that. Within minutes, the entire path was engulfed in darkness. The only sounds were their footsteps crunching on the gravel and the distant rustle of the fog-drenched trees. Feeling uneasy, Emma squeezed Jake's hand, and they quickened their pace. The fog seemed to close in around them, making it hard to see more than a few feet ahead. As they hurried along, they noticed an unsettling silence. The usual sounds of the city were completely absent. Then they heard it, a faint whispering, barely audible but unmistakable. It seemed to come from all directions, carried on the wind but impossible to pin down. Emma stopped and listened, her heart pounding. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, and the shadows seemed to move around them as if the trees themselves were watching. Panic set in. They stumbled forward, trying to navigate through the darkness. The park's once familiar paths now felt foreign and treacherous. Every turn seemed to lead them deeper into the maze of trees and fog. The whispering voices grew louder, and Emma could swear she heard faint, ghostly laughter in the distance. Finally, they saw the distant glow of the park's entrance lights and pushed forward with renewed urgency. As they emerged from the park and onto the street, they turned back to look at the park, hoping to see some sign of their unsettling experience. What they saw made their blood run cold. Above the trees, where the fog had seemed to hang thick, they saw strange glowing orbs of light. The lights hovered and moved slowly, as if following their every move. They were unlike anything they had seen before, softly glowing, with no clear source or shape. Emma and Jake stood in stunned silence, watching the eerie lights flicker and sway in the park. It was as if the park itself was alive, aware of their presence, and unwilling to let them go without a final haunting farewell. Without another word, they turned and walked briskly away, the chill of the fog now feeling like a cold shiver of fear. They didn't stop until they reached the safety of a nearby cafe, their breaths coming in ragged gasps. That night, Emma and Jake tried to make sense of what they had experienced. The whispering voices, the extinguishing lights, and the glowing orbs remained a mystery that neither of them could explain. The park, once a place of comfort and tranquility, had become a dark, enigmatic space that neither of them wished to revisit. The Central Park lights, as they came to call it, remained a chilling reminder of that fog-shrouded night. A night when the familiar turned frightening, and the city's heart held secrets that were better left unexplored.